Good morning students. Today's topic is on glomerular filtration rate, which is called as GFR. So first we'll see what is glomerular filtration. So glomerular filtration is the first step in the urine formation, and this refers to the ultrafiltration of plasma. Ultrafiltration of plasma through the glomerular capillary membrane or through the filtration membrane. So this glomerular filtration rate is the amount of filtrate formed by both the kidneys in a unit time. So the normal value of GFR is 125 ml per minute or 180 liters per day. Okay, so glomerular filtration is the ultrafiltration of plasma through the filtration membrane. So what are the components of a filtration membrane? So the components of the filtration membrane. See, this is the afferent arteriole, this is the glomerular capillary, and this one is the efferent arteriole, glomerular capillary and efferent arteriole, and this one is the Bowman's capsule. So where is the filtration occurring? The filtration is occurring here. So what are the parts of the filtration membrane? One is the endothelium of the capillary, other one is the basement membrane, other one is the visceral epithelium or podocytes of the Bowman's capsule. This is capillary endothelium, and this one is the basement membrane, and this one is the visceral epithelium or podocytes. So the filtration is occurring in this filtration membrane. So the amount of filtrate formed by both the kidneys per unit time. So 125 ml per minute the filtration is taking place. Now what are the determinants of the GFR? Determinants are the factors affecting the GFR. So determinants of GFR are two. One is the stalling forces. So stalling forces, that is hydrostatic pressure and oncotic pressure. Other one is the KF. KF is called filtration coefficient. So first we'll see what are the stalling forces that is determining the GFR. So there are four forces acting for glomerular filtration. One is the capillary hydrostatic pressure, that is the hydrostatic pressure, or that is a pressure exerted by the plasma present inside the glomerular capillaries. So the fluid component of the plasma. And capillary oncotic pressure, and this pressure is exerted by the plasma proteins present inside the glomerular capillaries. And tubular hydrostatic pressure, it is the pressure exerted by the fluid present in the filtrate. So after the filtration you get the filtrate. So what is the pressure exerted by the fluid in the Bowman's capsule? So that is tubular hydrostatic pressure. And tubular oncotic pressure is the pressure exerted by the plasma proteins or proteins present in the Bowman's capsule. So these are the four stalling forces that is determining the glomerular filtration rate. And here these hydrostatic pressure are like pushing forces, so they will favor the filtration. And this oncotic pressure is like a pulling force, they are opposing the filtration. So we'll see how these stalling forces acts in the glomerular capillary with the values. Now this is the glomerular capillary. So here we have the capillary hydrostatic pressure by the fluids, by the plasma, and we have the capillary oncotic pressure. So when the hydrostatic pressure is increased, it causes fluid movement from the capillary into the Bowman's space. When the oncotic pressure is increased in the capillary, it will oppose the filtration. It will try to pull from outside to inside. And similarly, here you have the tubular hydrostatic pressure. When it is increased, it will oppose the filtration from capillary into the Bowman's space. And tubular oncotic pressure, I told you it's the oncotic pressure like pulling force. When this value is increased, it will try to pull the fluid from the capillary into the Bowman's space. Now we will derive what is that net filtration pressure, NFP. So net filtration pressure is given by the factors favoring the filtration minus the factors opposing the filtration. So factors favoring the filtration. So these are the two factors which favors the filtration from the capillary into the Bowman's space. One is the capillary hydrostatic pressure, other one is the tubular oncotic pressure. And factors opposing the filtration, one is the tubular hydrostatic pressure, other one is the capillary oncotic pressure. Now when you put the values, you will get a net filtration pressure. There is a balance between the hydrostatic pressure and oncotic pressures, a balance between the forces favoring filtration and forces opposing the filtration. So now the net filtration pressure is equal to factors favoring or forces favoring the filtration minus forces opposing the filtration. So forces favoring filtration, that is capillary hydrostatic pressure plus tubular oncotic pressure, minus factors opposing the filtration, that is tubular hydrostatic pressure plus capillary oncotic pressure. So the value of capillary hydrostatic pressure is 60 plus the tubular oncotic pressure is nothing but the pressure exerted by the proteins in the Bowman's capsule. Usually proteins are not filtered. So for calculation now we are taking this tubular oncotic pressure as 0 because no proteins are filtered. Minus tubular hydrostatic pressure is 18 plus capillary oncotic pressure is 32. So 60 minus 50 is plus 10 millimeter of mercury. This is the net filtration pressure, that is the difference between the factors favoring filtration and factors opposing the filtration. Now the factors favoring are on dominant side and we have a positive net filtration pressure. Now what is KF, the next determinant? So we have fish stalling forces, we go for KF. KF is called filtration coefficient. And this depends upon the two factors. One is the capillary permeability. which depends upon the size of the particle. The size of the particle. So size of the particle less than 4 nanometer or easily filtered, and the size more than 8 nanometer or not filtered, and the size between 4 to 8 nanometer, their permeability is inversely proportional to the size. So one is the size, second is the charge of the particle. So the basement membrane is negatively charged. So if a particle is negatively charged, it will be repelled by the basement membrane. For example, albumin. So albumin is a plasma protein whose diameter is 6 nanometer only. So somewhere near the 4 nanometer. But still it is not filtered because albumin is negatively charged. It is not able to pass through the basement membrane. So it is not able to filter. So one is the size of the particle, other one is the charge of the particle. So this decides the capillary permeability. This is one factor that is governing the KF. The second factor is the surface area of the capillary or the filtration membrane. When the surface area is more, this surface area will be altered by the cells present around the capillary called as mesangial cells. Mesangial cells. So when the mesangial cells they are surrounding the capillaries, when the mesangial cells contract, the surface area is reduced. When they contract, the surface area is reduced. Whereas when the mesangial cells relaxes, the surface area is increased. So KF is determined by the permeability and the surface area. So permeability in turn governed by two factors. One is the pore, or that is the size of the particle or the pore size, and another one is the charge of the particle. So size of the particle and the charge of the particle. So size in turn depends on the size of the pore. So pore size allows the minimum size particles, and if size is bigger, it will not allow the large size particles. So these are the factors governing the KF. KF is filtration coefficient. Now how will we calculate KF? Okay. So before that, we come to a statement that GFR is directly proportional to net filtration pressure, or GFR is equal to KF, that is filtration coefficient, into NFP. Now what is KF? KF is GFR by net filtration pressure, which is 125 by 10, which is 12.5 ml per minute per millimeter of mercury. So ml per minute for GFR and NFP millimeter of mercury. This is the value of KF we are deriving by this calculation. So to sum up, GFR glomerular filtration rate is determined by two major factors. One is the stalling forces, the other one is the KF. So the stalling forces gives you a net filtration pressure, which is plus 10 mm of mercury, and KF in turn depends on the permeability and the surface area. So permeability depends on the size of the particle and the size of the particle and the charge of the particle, and surface area depends on the mesangial cell status of the mesangial cells. So these are the various determinants of the GFR. Now what is filtration fraction? It is a fraction of renal plasma that is filtered. We told the glomerular filtration is the ultrafiltrate of plasma. Now we want to know what is that fraction of plasma that is filtered. So filtration fraction is given by GFR by renal plasma flow. If we take GFR as 125 and renal plasma flow as 625, the value comes around 0.2. That means 20% of renal plasma flow is filtered as glomerular filtrate. Okay, so usually filtration fraction is expected to range from 0.16 to 0.2. That is 16 to 20% of renal plasma flow is filtered as glomerular filtrate. This is the value of filtration fraction. Thank you.